NBA free agency has started and it's gotten into a frenzy. But hello guys, thank you for joining me here on this 4th of July edition of Sports Overview Topics. UFC 290 is this Saturday. Got to talk about the USFL championship game. This dramatic flux of ESPN layoffs that happened Friday, as well as talking about Damian Lillard as he has requested a trade and more. But alas, thank you for joining me. This is a good Tuesday edition of the podcast. Been a little rainy the last couple of days, but it seems fairly good weather today. But either way, we're going to kick it off in good fashion. Thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, wherever it says. Of course, the subscription button is somewhere. Click it, find all videos on the channel. Notification bell. You guys know the drill. But alas, thank you guys. And yeah, good. So, show start. First, let's go over. So, USFL championship game was Saturday between the reigning champion Birmingham Stallions, cornered by presumptive MVP Alex Magoo, versus the Pittsburgh Maulers, hanging behind the number 1 ranked defense. And solid quarterback play between Troy Williams and Isaiah Henney. But of course, the question always is when you have an MVP versus the top-ranked defense, who's going to crack? Who's going to blink? And Birmingham really didn't have many problems, it seemed, in their capturing their second straight USFL championship as they won it 28-12 behind 4 touchdowns from Magoo. 3 of them went to stellar wide receiver Deion Kane. Of course, many know him. He had few stints in the NFL. He had been drafted late by the Colts in his early years, and then he got hindered by an injury early. Well, a few teams such as the Steelers, among others. But here in the championship game, he really showed out. Of course, Magoo did a very good job as well. Also happy for Thaddeus Moss, son of Randy Moss, who was on the Stallions as well. So he had national championship and the USFL championship to his resume. Stellar. But yeah, overall, what was fascinating was the Maulers won time of possession. They had over 33 minutes with the ball, but only mastered 12 points. You know, well, and what really looked to be what could have been the turning point that was swayed the game, really, but ultimately, when it didn't go, it kind of bursted the bubble, I would say, of Pittsburgh. So, for those who watch the game, you'll know. So, it was 21-12. Birmingham was marching down the field. Looked to blow the doors open. Alex Magoo has done a very good job in extending plays and making off-script plays this season. But sometimes when you're good at something, sometimes it can hinder you. Even a strength can sometimes be a weakness. As in, so Magoo, he went back to pass. He saw pressure in his face, kept going back, thinking he can elude this, try and make a play, whether it's with his arm or with his legs. But alas, Reuben Foster, another former NFL veteran, he knocked the ball out of Magoo, and thus Pittsburgh looked to have returned it for a fumble return for a touchdown. But on the handoff at the 30-yard line, it was presumptive to be a illegal forward pass. So they called them down at the 30-yard line instead of being 21-18, possibly tied. Instead it says 21-12, and I didn't see what happened, but the Maulers turned it over, and their chance of making it interesting, getting the momentum, was not to be. As next thing you know, you looked at the screen and the score didn't change, and the Stallions had the ball. And then Pittsburgh managed to get a 3-and-out. They managed to stop Birmingham again. But on their next drive, it was a 3rd and long for Pittsburgh. They went for it on 4th and long. And it was open. Troy Williams had a chance. But he and his receiver, it was just underneath. And thus they turn over Stallions had a short field, and a couple plays later, Kane grabs another touchdown, and just like that, it's 28-12, and Birmingham really didn't shy away. So, yeah, kudos to Alex Magoo. Another multiple touchdown day, 4 touchdowns. Deion Kane, 3. Credit to Thaddeus Moss as well. I mean, that team. Really, ever since when they won, I said this last week or last time, but when they won the rematch of last year's championship game with Philly, and how Magoo took the offense down the field to score and win the game, you knew, okay, this team's stellar. Now, you had a bit of question as when they had a playoff spot wrapped up in the following week of the season, and Magoo played the entire game. But alas, he stayed, and like last week versus New Orleans, like Saturday versus Pittsburgh, he got it done. And kudos to him. Not be surprised if he gets a look or a roster spot come the fall. I mean, we'll see. Pittsburgh doesn't have too much to be ashamed of. I mean, last week of the season, they beat New Jersey to get their playoff side, and then thanks to Michigan, they wound up hosting the championship game last week, or the North Division crown last week, and won an exhilarating game in overtime versus Michigan. They just came into a buzzsaw in Birmingham. And credit to Birmingham, although, Stallion or Pittsburgh, their defense was good. Very good. And, credit to them. Credit to them. UFC 290 is this Saturday. And it's an interesting card, to say the least. Headlined by 2 unique title fights. I mean, with International Fight Weekend, it's always for a big round of card. I mean, this card may be a little left to be desired, but as far as the headliners, but still, it's a hell of a card, and definitely have to get over it, or get on it. But yeah, Alexander Volkanovski, you know, continues to try to add to his legacy. First is interim champ Yair Rodriguez, and should be an interesting bout. Volkanovski in his last fight, he came up short, and what some think he won versus current champ Islam Makhachev in decision. Rodriguez, credit to him. So, but last we will go over the card right now. I just have to pull it up. And here we go. So, interesting main card. But first we gotta talk about and want to give credit because he announced that after this fight, after this weekend, it's his last fight in the UFC. And I want to give credit to him because he's a legend. He's one of the best to ever do it. And a little surprised that his retirement fight is the main event of the prelims. If it was me, I'd put it on the main card instead of Bo Nickel. Even though Albuquerque native or New Mexico native, but nonetheless, Robbie Lawler is retirement fight on the prelims versus Nico Price, a stud veteran who still to this day has one of the most unique finishes I've ever seen. Going back to his fight with Randy Brown, when he knocked him out from the bottom with hammer fists. That fight that finish will always be unique in my eyes. But here he faced Robbie Lawler, a legend, going on his last hurrah. It's going to be quite interesting. The Lawler's last notable win came 6 years ago. 6 years ago against Donald Cowboy Cerrone in 2017. And his last win came over almost 2 years ago against Nick Diaz, returning Nick Diaz. And what was a compelling fight, though. I don't know. we know what Lawler, he isn't the firefighter he used to be, the compelling guy. And, both guys, Price, he's been very up and down recently as well. But if I had to guess, is last hurrah, I'm going with Robbie Lawler. Just for one last hurrah, get it done over Nico. We'll see. I just think with his last fight, we'll see. Now I get to the main card. So, to open the show, once again, we have New Mexico native Bo Nickal, who ended his first fight in the UFC in grand fashion with that arm triangle. Some controversy due to a low blow that was undetected, but nonetheless, he got the finish against a new opponent, Val Webburn, who apparently is an undefeated prospect. Short notice, he has not fought since, I'm just pulling up his record now. He has not fought since August. That's a bit of a layoff, I must say. So almost a year. Dang. But he is 7-0. Just right off the bat, I gotta go with Bo Nickal because, short notice for anyone in the UFC is going to be unique. Now, Michael Bisping obviously has the most compelling argument when it comes to short notice, and coming in to face Luke Rockhold and winning the title after Weidman got hurt. And that kind of changed the legacy. But yeah, short notice fight, less than a week. I'm going Nickal. Probably not another submission, but something. Certainly a finish. Dan Hooker. It's weird. Going up against Jalen Turner. Dan Hooker, he was one of the top stars of the lightweight division. He fought Dustin Poirier, a throwing fight, lost, tried featherweight again, but it was a no-go, or didn't happen the way he wanted. Now back at the lightweight, see how he fares against Jalen Turner. If I have to bet, I'm going to go with Hooker. So we'll see. Probably Second round TKO. We'll see. Robert Whittaker. This is an interesting bout. Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. Whittaker, obviously he's been taking time in between fights, since he lost his second fight versus last Stylebender. Plessis is coming in red hot with momentum after being Darren Till and Derek Brunson in his last fight, stopping him. Unique test for Whittaker and Plessis. I'm gonna go with Whittaker though. I feel like Plessis can maybe be. I mean, he's a specimen, so it's totally possible he could tire himself out, possibly. If I had to guess. But, we'll see. Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja. The rematch. Some bout for the flyweight title. These who fought on the Ultimate Fighter, to the dismay of Henry Cejudo, training partners with one of them, but the other was on his team. So there you go. But I mean, Moreno, it's been a flurry in this feud with, Figueiredo. So now, coming out against Pantoja, if I had to guess, Pantoja's stellar, but I'm going Moreno. Main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Unification bout. Volkanovski lost the last fight, dropping his winning streak, but he's still undefeated in the UFC's featherweight division. Yair, when he's on, it's hard game plan for, hard to beat. But I'm actually pulling for Yair. I feel like it would open up the division a bit more. I think maybe time for Volkanovski to commit to lightweight division. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Yair Rodriguez in this one for a finish. Next up, I got Black Friday. Kind of was for the. You could pretty much say it was for ESPN, as in laid off 20 employees, many notable ones. it's tough, you know, but getting into, a lot of noble people. I mean, Susie Colbert, most nobly, you know, from me knowing her or seeing her on, Monday Night Football, Dollar Crew, you know, she's been doing it for a long time, and yeah. Todd McShay, you know, great when it comes to draft time, in his pre-draft. The panel talking about the prospects. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a job with the NFL Network. I mean, just wouldn't be surprised with how well he knows his info. And he's still a very good voice. Jalen Rose, former basketball player, NBA, from ESPN and, ABC. That's, I mean, definitely a weird move. I mean, he obviously has his skeptics, but still a noble move. So still a bit surprising. I mean, Steve Young, Matt Hasselbeck, two former NFL QBs from the Monday Night Football and just NFL side on ESPN. It's very strange, very weird. Now, I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to say, for those wondering probably why some are self-employed instead of some, if I had to guess, I bet you guys too, some of these people probably have huge buyouts or huge contracts where it might be, just too much to let them go, if I had to guess. Now, yeah, but a lot of noble names. David Pollock of College Game Day. Yeah, that's strange. But some bad news to good news, though. Ernie Johnson. Ernie Johnson. He was announced C of Charles Barkley, and while they were doing commentary for golf, it was announced by him, Charles Barkley, that Ernie Johnson, one of the best to ever do it, will be inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame. I mean, I first started hearing him, back for NBA on TNT, in 2011, 2012, and, one of the reasons why people you don't have a lot of good moderators. And, you know, one of the reasons why people say that NBA on TNT should get the NBA Finals rather than ABC or ESPN, he's one of the reasons of that whole crew. Because I mean, it started with Ernie, and then Carlos came into the fold, and then Kenny came into the fold, and then after a while, when Shaq retired, it became that four, and that four is arguably the best on when it comes to doing basketball. Just right now. So, credit to him. Said he's been doing it for what, 30, 40 years? Have to look more at his earlier work, but credit to just Ernie Johnson getting it done. Kudos for him. NBA free agency is in a rut. And it started the other day. And for me, the main team that has been spending really, the Bucks and Lakers we know retain really their cores in the roster. What I want to get into for one is the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets spended a toll for their group in free agency, and they did a heck of a job building around their young studs and Scoot Henderson and Jabari Smith Jr. Or actually, excuse me, Trailblazers, my bad. Oh, he has one of the twins. My bad. I got confused. Anywho, so, anyways, you get the point. They're two young studs. They picked up Fred VanVleet, who is a noble name free agency. Curious where he was going to go. And off Toronto, you thought maybe with Nick Nurse, his former coach, going to Philly, that may be an option for him to go to Philly, but ultimately he went to Houston. And Houston's doing a very good job. Not only did they add VanVleet, they also had Patty Mills, Dylan Brooks. Adding a good amount of dudes to complement their two young studs on the roster. So, yes, I know Dylan Brooks, the way he departed in Memphis after trash talking LeBron, ultimately they lost that series, but still, he's certainly capable, and on the roster, yes. Pacers signed Bruce Brown. One of the things that come with NBA championship team or championship team is, will they or not keep the team together? And one domino fell as Bruce Brown went to the Pacers for a 2-year, $45 million deal. You know, he had a heck of finals for himself and playoffs. So, I mean, kudos to him for getting a deal. I will also say I'm surprised about Jeff Van Gundy getting cut, layoff, but I will say that. Lakers signed Gabe Vincent. You know, I'd say a good move for them, and not only re-signing Reeves and Hachimura, but they did a hell of a job. Grizzlies, I'd say, was been noticeable. You know, trying to be prepared for John Morant's suspension. So, I mean, a couple weeks ago, they traded for Marcus Smart, and now they signed Derrick Rose. You know, very seemingly look like they're bracing for John Morant's suspension. They don't want to get left behind. They still have a stud crew in Memphis, but we'll see. But yeah, those are the notable things I want to go over in free agency. Damian Lillard, he did request a trade officially, but I don't want to get too much in that because, you know, we're still waiting. We're still waiting. So, we'll see. But, I mean, I think we've all had to guess he's going to Miami. We'll see. But anyways, guys, that's the report here. Thank you all for joining me. Of course, leave a like wherever it is. Thumbs up about the video and the channel. Thank you guys all. Hope you all have a good 4th. Be safe. Peace.